NEA is going now into its 43rd year. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, traditional venture firms in the world. We're currently investing on a Fund 17, which is a $3.6 billion fund. In total, we have about $27 billion of committed capital across the different funds. And while it is a relatively large firm, probably in the area of about 130 people, it doesn't feel like that at all. An investor has two clients. They have the entrepreneur and they have the LP, and they both need to be taken care of. So I spent about a decade. I was an entrepreneur for 25 years. I started one of the first e-commerce companies in the world in 1993. I took it public in 99. I never raised venture capital. I never understood venture capital. I wasn't interested in venture capital. Now, the positive of that was that I was able to take that company private because I had a control stake even post-IPO, because I didn't get materially diluted. I owned 80% of the company pre-IPO. Then I moved west and I became a seed investor, and I spent 10 years as a seed investor. And most of my time with my entrepreneurs was helping them with two things: entrepreneur realities and fundraising. And I would constantly talk to them about how important it is to choose the right partner at the right firm. Choosing the right firm is important, but choosing the right partner is far more important. Sometimes the difference of one person is the difference between success and failure. I need 5 things to make an investment: people, 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 a great idea, and a huge market if it works.
What started as a small private equity initiative in 2011 grew into a hybrid private equity and venture capital in 2015, and has now evolved into this global ecosystem of investors with well over $3 trillion in combined asset under management. The world as we knew has now changed. We all thought there would be a downturn in 2020, but no one could have imagined that it would come from Wuhan, of all places. We've had to adjust and shift the way we source opportunities, the way we diligence transactions, the way we allocate assets. Like us, several investors have questions and theories. It was then a no-brainer to think that the monthly gathering of CIOs would be mutually beneficial as we get to cross-exchange on what we see on the market and how we approach investments in the current context.
Next year, 2021, the expectation is still going up because of liquidity reasons. So to me, the central bank had dominated the stage, and nothing changed lately. So we had some major impact by COVID, but the response was so strong that the market kept going up. And we know that there's been a lot of differentiation within the market, within the, picking the winner and the loser. And that's a good news for the active manager. So they have a lot of opportunity right there.
I would argue that it's worse now because in 2009, the economy was so bad. You got to remember in 2009, sustainability was a pretty nascent industry. We were on the cutting edge of that and benefited from that. But with that being said, most people in 2009 would meet with you if you could save them money, right? Because there wasn't a whole lot of, oh, wow, I'm growing so fast. So a lot of people were stuck in the mud and were willing to meet with us to talk about potentially saving some money. Now, the big difference between now and then is it's hard to get off the ground on a computer screen. Like Ben was talking about, it's different. NEA's got these old relationships and being one of the top firms in the world. But for a startup, it's tough without the face-to-face because you have to build that rapport and those relationships. So I see now actually more difficult. Now, the only caveat to that would be that the digital tsunami that's happened in the last 7 months or whatever it is from when COVID really hit in earnest, it's just been unbelievable. A friend of mine works at one of the large super regional banks, Val, and he said that, I won't name who they are, but you would know who they are. They're one of the top 5 or 6 banks in the country. And he said that their digital transactions were 22% of total transactions in January, and that they are now 83% of all transactions.
I think that this unprecedented UNGA 75th will be remembered as is, and I hope never repeated again, because diplomacy is not only chatting through video. I conducted Kosovo delegation for 4 years, 4 very successful UNDAs. And it is not just listening to pre-recorded messages like it is now, but it's a live conversation. During the UNGA, we signed many agreements, many diplomatic relations. We got and passed many messages, not secret messages, but messages that needed time. Administration can work, logistical issues can be conducted, but decisions are made in heads of states level, and that require live meetings.
CSE was set up end of 2007, right? When China considered its massive foreign reserve too big, and they think there's a need to diversify the investments globally. 2007, I was on Wall Street. I was an investment banker, at JP Morgan and hired by Barclays. CSE was just set up. So I got the chance to move back to China to be the first group of employees. Actually, I was one of the first 100 employees of the new institution, which at that time had $200 billion US and plus a few hundred billions worth of domestic financial institutions holdings. For example, the government's stake in Bank of China is held by one subsidiary of CIC. So at the beginning, it was about 500 billion. And today, both sides have grown, the US dollar side and renminbi side. And collectively, it's close to $1 trillion. So it's like a top 3 or maybe top 2 sovereign funds in the world. I was mostly in the private market side, private equity and VC. And funny enough, at the very beginning, my first title at the CIC was head of co-investing. 10 years ago, from the China side, Silicon Valley was viewed as the sort of the apex of innovation, right? So it's called West Summit. And during the last 10 years, we have seen this gradual shift of innovation power. So China also becomes the important innovation center. But the bigger picture is a determination of the China government to transform the economy. The last 2 decades, right? Starting with the Canadian pensions, as well as with some more progressive sovereign funds. For example, the Singaporean, GIC and the Temasek, right? More and more sovereign funds and pensions have become active direct investors. They want to compete for deals directly with PE funds, VC funds.